Welcome to this week's edition of Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield. A lot of things to look at in this market trade. Actually, we saw, pretty much for the start of the week, some positive feels going on in these markets. But we're going to look at what's been happening from a fundamental side. As you can see on the screen, Brad Kooima is joining me. He's with Kooima and Varlick out of Sioux Center, Iowa. And I know you like to talk fundamentals and what's happening in this trade. So what's important right now for these cattle?
Well, I would love it if we could go back to just trading cattle, Susan, which is what I think I'm decent at, trying to sort through the news, decide what's important fundamentally. But these are strange times. I was telling my customers for the last couple of days here that what I believe is important in terms of analytics on the fundamentals make me optimistic, have me optimistic. I see the grade declining for 3 weeks in a row. That would tell me that we're getting cattle with less days on feed, led by the South. We especially see the grade decline there. I'm told Texas is very, very current and tight, even supply-wise. Kansas is getting that way, and of course, we've been importing cattle down there to Kansas for 2 or 3 weeks too, depending upon which packer you talk to. But I know that there's been multiple packers that have been buying cattle up in my part of the world and bringing them there, which would also tell me that they're searching for grade. And that's going to help us get cleaned up here, because we do have a few big cattle left. I don't think it's an overwhelming problem, but it's still something that we fight with almost every year this time of year. So the demand side of the market is, I think, alive and well. Boxes certainly at a level where the packer's very profitable. Choice Select spread would suggest that the demand for the high price stuff is still very good. People worry about maybe the grind or the 50s, but that's as low as it's been in 5 years. It's not going to keep going down from that level in my estimation. So now, while I think the seasonals one needs to be careful because of COVID, because of elections, because of all sorts of stuff, but typically this time of year is a time of year where you would expect the market to improve too. So yes, the fundamentals to me would give me some confidence that the next move is higher. But Susan, the market hates uncertainty, right?
Well, there's always that but in there, isn't there, when it comes to the trade? So because there's all these uncertainties, how do we trade moving forward?
We have to do something here that's going to recruit the long speculator back to our marketplace. And when we talk about the long speculator, usually we talk about the funds, right? Probably 5 weeks ago, we had a fund position long almost 85,000 contracts in December. They're down to less than 14,000. You can see what the liquidation did on that hard break. When they get out, there's nobody big enough to replace their positions. Now, the last 2 weeks, we've seen some change of ownership where, according to the Commitment of Traders report, we've seen the commercials extend their long position. Those are the packers, while the funds have been getting out. So what is it going to take to get that back? That's a great question. My opinion would be that I think we're going to have to be drug up by the cash market. We're going to have to prove to these naysayers that, you know what, maybe it doesn't matter whether it's blue or red in the White House, that if there's not quite enough cattle to go around and the packers are making plenty of money and have to buy them, that we can take the market higher anyway. So I think it's going to have to be led by cash. Now, we had a solid day here. Spreads were a little weird front to back, but we had 100 higher in some of the back months of the cattle and almost 200 higher in the feeders. And cash was better in the South, $1 higher at 107, and I don't think the trade's done yet. I haven't given up on the idea that they may still trade some 108. So I think if we show solid improvement in the fundamentals, hopefully the futures market will follow.
Well, since we're shipping cattle to the South, are we staying pretty current on the weights in the North?
I wished I could give you a really, it's all clear, safe to go out in the water. We're gaining, but we're not there, Susan. I thought that last week, particularly around here, there was an awful lot of that, comparing notes of, wow, did you hear that guy they weighed 1680 or this 1701 or I thought there was a lot of that puking up that happened last week. So I think there's a few left to go. But I really think we're down to a matter of a couple of weeks, not months now. And I'm hoping that as we move that last round of those, and you know what? We don't need to have 1,700-1,800 pound cattle around. That's not good for the industry, you know. So if that's what it takes, let's get them dead, discount them then, and let's get them out of here and get on down the road. But I believe we're a lot closer than we've been in maybe 6 weeks or so.
Well, to wrap things up, is there concerns grain prices as we head into the latter part of the fall?
Well, because of what we're dealing with right now, well, I think that it's dry again in South America. We've had as perfect a harvest weather as we've had in memory. We supposedly had this big carryover of corn. Yet, what did we do during a perfect harvest year with too much corn? We narrowed the basis and rallied futures significantly. This is some really bullish stuff that's going on. And we've got an export partner that I believe it's a deal where it's less about trade war and it's less about whatever analytics might say. And it's more about we've got a rebuilding hog herd and we need to buy feed for it. And I think that that's really the China premise. This is cattle call. So I guess if you're an end user like me, you know, kind of want to be sensitive to maybe owning a little bit of corn.
All right, some good advice. Thanks so much, Brad, for joining us this week. Just a reminder, folks, that commodity futures and options do involve substantial risk of loss and might not be suitable for all investors. That's this week's Cattle Call. I'm Susan Littlefield.